Okay, so welcome. We are doing a different format today. We're going to try a quick debrief and update on Eurovision that happened at the weekend, as we were so opinionated about it last week. And I think we've both got some views about what happened and the winners and losers.
Yeah, we are doing somewhat of a post-mortem, and I may be repeating myself, but I really do hate to tell everyone that I told you so. But and I was looking back, episode 4 of season 2. We speak about a number of things, including wonderful Billie Eilish and AI, of course. But we do speak a little bit, and this is a month ago, almost to the day, a month ago. We were chatting about Eurovision and the potential, whether it would happen or not, with world events, and we also focused on the UK entry last week a bit more. And I have said throughout, and it was baffling to me, um, at how this individual was selected and chosen and what the actual process was choosing the track. And I remember very vividly you saying you actually liked the track. And I was, probably being a little polite when I didn't get it at all, as you know.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, okay, you were right. So we could leave it there. However, I still like the song. I think the song was good. I think what's really interesting is when you sit in the context of all the other songs, is how out of touch it felt with the general mood of Eurovision. And I think that there are a bunch of things going on here, and I think not least the UK is just not really a popular choice. It's not a popular voting choice in Europe. And because the UK can't vote for itself, it can only vote for, well, each country, as you know, can only vote for all the other countries. You have to look at the global populations, and I just don't think there are enough people around the world who are UK supporters. I think that we tend to support a lot of the other countries as well because we just pick it for what we think is the best song or the best act, and we don't just vote for the UK because we're patriotic. So I think that all of those things play against us. But of course, we also didn't get any votes from the juries either.
I mean, I think it's far more basic than that, and I respect the fact you're trying to dig a bit deeper and to qualify the unmitigated disaster, which I think I said some weeks ago. Well, I mean, jokes aside, I knew it would never rate, and I thought, in terms of popularity, just the whole aesthetic was all wrong. And I'm not going to say, I'm not going to wang on about this, but it was a disaster. And I think that now we know that it was an unmitigated disaster. There is something very wrong with how the process happens. That needs to be reviewed if people care. I mean, there's a huge feature in the Sun, um, you know, and it's brutal. And obviously an element that I am concerned about because I'm an artist manager is, you've got a performer here who's been pretty much derided, on a fairly global status. How's he waking up after all the smiles and laughter? I mean, the lad's a fragile, performer, and I hope to God someone's put their arm around him, and said, "Listen, it was this, it was that." But I really, really do. But
Well, I believe he's getting a lot of hate online, isn't he? You sent me something this morning about it, and it seems really deeply unfair. But I guess if you put yourself out there, then you have to be able to take the criticism.
That's absolutely right. Once you do a platform, a pedestal, it's a precarious place to be. It really is. But having said that, he was requested and persuaded to do it, and I do think there needs to be some um, proof of follow up that he is okay. God,
Yeah.
how shattering was it? You've got to be a fairly strong individual to put up with that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to your main point, I mean, I think you're right. Who is choosing these acts every year? I mean, with the notable exception of Sam Ryder, I mean, we've done appallingly.
Let me give you the I thought the the example on Saturday night, which I thought was just screamed, sense, was Australia. A tried and tested pop star, performer, singer who looked $1 million, and it was an incredibly polished performance. And
Yeah.
I'm afraid you can't say the same about you can't say the same about um Eins, Zwei, Drei. I thought it was a bit
Yeah. Well, I think
amateur
his,
at
yeah, it
times.
was amateur, wasn't it? And we discussed this at the time. I think it was disappointing. I think when you compare his performance and the stage presentation to and the stage present, the costumes and everything were fun, but the dancing, his kind of aura on stage, his X factor or lack thereof, just was really palpable compared to most of those other performers on the stage.
Has he ever had a dance? It doesn't look as though he's ever had a dance lesson in his life.
It smacks of that British kind of have a go mentality, and which is kind of
Plucky,
charming.
plucky Brits.
Yeah, but it's kind of charming, but in a
Yeah,
sort
all,
of
all of the above. Or plucky, charming, this, that, and the other, cheeky chappy. I mean, no. Go slick, go polished, go beautiful performance.
yeah, where's the underlying talent?
And again, lots of solo artists. I saw a lot of solo artists. Hell of a responsibility. I mean, talk about a stage. That's a big stage to fill. I mean, I thought the choreography was great fun. And I think they did it very well. And I think that, having a load of people dance around is better than not. Yeah, very disappointing.
As soon as I saw Bulgaria, I just thought that's a great track. It's a great track. And the stage presentation was flawless. It was fabulous, and it was really well rehearsed. They were really professional. It just carried the song. And here's an interesting fact that I don't know if you know, but I did a little digging this morning, and that Bulgarian track was co-written by, I think the lead writer was someone called Anne Judith Wick, who has written a bunch of songs for people like Ricky Martin and various other people. She's had a huge number of hits. She's a Grammy nominated songwriter. She's written for some of the biggest K-pop acts that you won't know, like Le Seraphim. That K-pop mentality, which I'm always banging on about, which is the most extraordinary work ethic ethos. It really carries through. They put a lot of effort into making sure that song was a banger, pun intended, and and then they put a load of effort into the stage presentation, and it felt like neither really applied to our entry, despite it being rather charming and lovely, and I did like him. I do still think he's great, and I'm sure it won't hurt his YouTube presence and his the following he has. But his followers probably are not Eurovision fans.
I mean, there's a couple of things that I thought the track, and it has been mentioned in the aftermath that the track. I think Graham Norton said it sounded more like Eurovision track than a Eurovision track. We kind of went that direction. But to note, I also see that I think his name is Sam, young Sam, Sam Battle is putting show. Has got shows on sale, actual live shows on sale, and I hope to God.
Oh, I'm sure he will be fine. I mean,
I hope so. I mean, you seem very confident. I mean, he is going to have to be quite a strong young man, to deal with as you say, the derision, and yeah, that is what it is. It is to be derided. I'm deriding it because I think it's really, really poor show.
I think the difference is that we're criticizing it from a technical point of view, but we're not knocking him personally. I mean, I don't hold any malice towards him as a writer and a performer.
It's not like we're using hindsight. We were discussing this, I think, reasonably accurately a month or so ago, maybe more. And so I think we're justified in following up. I'm also interested that there is no a spokesman for the BBC has come out. I think there's a deafening silence from the BBC. I mean, they're not having a good run, are they?
No, and somebody needs to answer some questions on that front, don't they? But going back to Sam Battle, I think he's going to be absolutely fine. I mean, I've been to see a few of those sorts of shows. I've seen Dan TDM at Wembley Arena pack out, 20,000 people watching him play Mario. It's pretty extraordinary. And I've also been to Max Fosh, who again, another YouTuber. All of those people, they pack out these stadiums. I think Sam's going to be fine, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I hope so, but I do think questions need to be asked about what's the point, guys? I mean, this is I'm just trying to think. I think it was 3 hours of television, 3+ hours of
Yeah,
television
I
on
couldn't watch
Saturday
it.
night.
I watched the performances, and then I woke up in the morning and had a look to see what the result was. I couldn't do that. I think when there's more people, I mean, it was just me and my wife and my daughter, and we really weren't in the mood for another hour or two of results. But I think, if there's more people, then it's a fun evening in.
Yeah, but that's incredible commitment of BBC scheduling time, which you and I pay for, and okay, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it to the point where I just nodded off, and I do enjoy it, but I do think it needs some work these days.
And we haven't discussed the Israel entry coming second. And again, let's not get political, but it is impossible to really divorce Israel's participation and success in Eurovision from the whole show, because it was really, I thought it was deeply disappointing that there was no Spanish entry, no Irish entry, etc.
Yeah.
And that really tainted it for me. And we've discussed this multiple times that they should have just cancelled it this year. They've gone ahead. I mean, it seemed like a successful show, but there are questions again about how did Israel get so many votes? And I've done actually a lot more digging since we last spoke, and I'm pretty confident that there is no technology available for that vote to be rigged. And I can't say 100%, but I'm pretty confident that there is no way. You can't go around buying burner phones, etc. I mean, the way of doing that would be you'd have to buy multiple credit cards as well, because they're really on top of fraud. This is a legitimate second place for a song that I thought
Mm.
was okay. It was fine.
I must admit, I just did. Well, I didn't think it was that exciting.
It was fine. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. Didn't deserve to come second, I don't think. And second again, 2 years running. I mean, they're always up in the sort of top five. It's the show itself really has to have a think about what it's doing, because it's got to be an inclusive show. And if next year we have the same issue where people are boycotting it because they don't want to be in there because Israel's in, they're going to have to think about how they manage that. I honestly, I wouldn't want to be on that board trying to work that out, because I don't think there's an easy solution. Uh,
No,
but it's but it's got to be addressed. You can't just go on like this. And maybe some of the other nations need to have someone have a little talk to them about it. But it was bizarre that they did so well with such an average song. And again, I think it's smacks of the fact that people are voting because of their solidarity with Israel rather than because of the song. That's what I would venture. That's my opinion. Purely my opinion, not necessarily the opinion of both of us.
well, I'm will always take the approach from the artistic point of view. I hope that young Sam is okay with it all. I was delighted and in a state of wonder at Delta Goodrum's performance. I thought she looked every inch a superstar, and I was very happy about that. And I don't know, just to finish off, I think it's a lovely place to finish that there is footage of young Sam Battle, look mum no computer, sitting on the UK table on his own, and the wonderful, lovely gesture of our friends from Denmark actually come over, not just to say hello, but to say, would he come and join them on the Danish banquet seat that arranges all the time. I was so moved by that. I thought that was wonderful. It just about summed it up, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was really lovely, and it said a lot that Sam was sitting there on his own. Bless him.
Exactly. All his team had deserted him. Right. So this.
Good. Well, that concludes our little update on Eurovision, and join us for the proper podcast next time. And I'm now going to go and see if I can edit this into something.